this, and I don't feel like I'm going any faster. You know, so many people build cars with an American V8 in it, and it's just loud.
Well, it's got great throttle response because you've got that electric motor chiming in.
Yeah, I mean, this is just an everyday supercar, isn't it? You can have it.
Yeah, you can do big distances in this. You can.
Yeah, you're not screaming to have a conversation. Welcome to an episode of Jay Leno's Garage. It's hard to believe I've had my P1 McLaren for almost 8 years. It's like an old car now. This is the new McLaren Artura. These have a lot in common, and we will find out about that in just a second. I'm a huge fan of McLaren. I've been there since the beginning. I bought one of the very first cars back in 2011. Still got it. I'm just a huge fan. I just think they do an amazing job. Well, let's meet Jamie Christopher. Jamie, come on in. Now, what is your official title?
Hi, Jay. Pleasure to be here. My title is Director of Product Strategy.
Director of Product Strategy. Okay, very good. I love these cars because I love the science of them. I drive a lot of cars that have big engines, but they're brutal without any sophistication. That's what I love about this. It's brutally sophisticated. You know, it's like the sharpest scalpel you could ever use. And I like the fact that I'm not good enough to ever reach its limits, so it constantly keeps me engaged and informed. And this is sort of basically another version, a more modern version of this, maybe with some improvements, not quite as much horsepower. Of course, this is 903, and this is what, 671? 671, which is still a massive amount of horsepower. But it has what, the 4-liter motor?
No, it has a 3-liter V6 engine.
Oh, that's, of course, 3-liter V6. Mine is the 3.8, and then the newest version is the 4-liter.
Correct.
Okay,
that's right,
okay. Yeah. And the V6 has become the new V8, isn't it? Pretty much with everybody from the Ford GT to Maserati to, you can accomplish amazing things with a V6 that you couldn't have done just a few years ago with supercharging and turbocharging. So tell us about this car. I know a lot of development went into this car. I know a lot of the companies really put a lot of effort behind us.
Sure. So, I mean, the Artura comes pretty much 10 years after we obviously introduced high-performance hybrid powertrains with the P1.
Right.
We wanted to take the learning that we'd had from the P1, but also the Speedtail, and bring it into our first series production hybrid supercar. And one of the things that McLaren, as you know, we're really fascinated about is keeping the cars as lightweight as possible.
Right. Compact
engineering, and actually these two cars weigh very, very similar. It's just over 3,000 pounds dry figure, which for a car of this performance is incredible.
Right, right.
It's an entirely new powertrain, so a new engine. We've talked about that 3-liter V6 twin turbocharged engine. It's a new electrical motor, a new transmission, really compact powertrain. So it keeps the center of gravity super low. And that really also helps with the agility of the car.
And rear-wheel drive.
Rear-wheel drive,
right.
Yeah.
Which is what I like. I mean, I've got some 4-wheel drive vehicles, and I like them, but I like the ability to bring I mean, just to drive it and have fun. I mean, maybe a 4-wheel drive might be quicker on a track or something, but just the fun I have with this car, I really enjoy it. And this is obviously quite a bit less expensive than this. When this came out, it was just about $1 million, and they've gone up since then. What do these retail?
230.
230. Well, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, look, it's still a lot of money, and I know a lot of people never be able to afford it. I understand that, but you get a lot of technology and a lot of science. That's what I like. It's not just a big engine and a lightweight chassis, and you go out. I mean, it's just the way it shifts, just the way it goes from hybrid to back to mechanical, you know, the V6 engine again. It's just so smooth and so seamless. That's what impresses me about this. Sometimes I switch to the hybrid just to see how it does it. It just does it so quickly and so effortlessly. That's what's great fun about it. Tell us some more here. Brakes are what on this now?
Yeah, so carbon ceramic brakes,
right.
As standard.
Right.
I mean, one of the things that, I mean, you just touched on it. I mean, the car's got an enormous amount of technology in it, but we also wanted to have the driving experience which is really pure and recognizable as a McLaren. We know that our customers really enjoy it. So a couple of things. I mean, you touched on it. It's rear-wheel drive, which is important for the performance and the adjustability, but it means that the front axle is kept for steering, and
right.
we really go after the best possible steering feel. For that reason, we've kept hydraulic steering assistance, which we think just gives the best feedback. And on the braking, we're using a conventional braking system rather than a brake-by-wire, again, because we want to have the best possible brake feel.
Yeah, I drove a 720 and was very impressed at how that handled. I mean, it was so incredibly light. Yeah, it almost seemed to defy logic. It was so light. It was very nice. And so you go hydraulic rather than the electric steering.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay, very nice. Other things that are different. I mean, that McLaren shape everybody sort of knows now, so you can see all the influences on it. I understand now this has a hybrid battery that's really only good for maybe 6 miles.
Yeah.
I think it's there just mostly for EPA and every other thing too. But it's fun because sometimes you get a phone call, so I'll put it on electric and the car's quiet down and I can talk and listen.
It's just nice to be able to leave your house quietly, as you say, take a call or go through a town or a little village quietly. Yeah,
going through the Cotswolds, people aren't chasing you with sticks and things. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. But this has bigger. Is it newer technology in the lithium-ion battery that allows that?
Yeah, and it's an advancement in the battery tech. So this is a 7.4 kilowatt-hour battery, which I think this was 4.7.
Right.
So this is good for 11 to 19 miles of electric.
Okay.
It runs up to about 80 miles an hour electrically.
Yeah. Right.
And to actually deliver the Artura, it's an entirely new platform and architecture, which is not only the powertrain, which we've touched on, but actually the carbon fiber construction. I mean, as you know, every McLaren road car's had a carbon fiber heart, but with the Artura, we've got a new system produced in a new facility in the UK, not at our headquarters and working, but in Sheffield in the north of England. So there's a new facility for that. And also it features a new electrical architecture.
Now, with this hybrid system, if you go into a city, like a lot of cities in Europe now are banning automobiles in the downtown area, could you drive a hybrid and switch in electric and drive downtown, or is it just the fact that it has a internal combustion that all bans it forever?
Yeah, well, all of that's changing very rapidly, and it varies by city. But I mean, for example, in London, you absolutely have no problem driving this. The emissions means it's allowed to be driven in London still. Okay,
yeah, because they're pretty strict as well.
Yeah.
All right, very good. You know, my favorite thing about McLaren is just the service. You know, when I bought my MP412C, and what a catchy name that is too, by the way.
What do you think of the name Artura?
Yeah. Artura's fine.
Yeah.
But I liked it when I bought it originally. I said, let me get the carbon fiber brakes, and they said to me, are you going to track it? And I said, no. Steel brakes are fine. They're probably better on the street. Okay. And I saved $20,000. I went, oh, okay. I'd never been talked out of a sale. I mean, I just like that. And when I got it, I think it had 572 horsepower. And then I get a call after about 6 months that, oh, there's an upgrade to 617. I'm going, how much is it? Well, how much is that? Oh, it's free. Oh, really? Oh, yeah, okay, I come in and come. So I've been a loyal customer. And this has been pretty bulletproof. I've not had anything. I mean, I'm not brutal with it. I don't beat it. But I drive it hard, and it's got about 10,000 miles, and I use it. It's not one of these trailer queens. I go up into Angeles Crest, not every weekend, but certainly a couple of times a month, and take it up through the hills. And it's just a wonderfully handling automobile, just the way it all blends so seamlessly. Yeah. There's nothing herky-jerky about it. That's the most impressive part. And of course, these brakes are the Japanese, what's the name of the?
Akebono.
Akebono, yeah, unbelievable. Yeah. Just amazing, just an amazing car. And the fact that this is 1/5 the price of this, with close to the same horsepower, well, not the same horsepower, this is 903.
Yes.
But impressive performance, certainly.
And as I said, it's a similar weight, and yet, you know, with this car, we've got more space in the cabin versus the P1. It's more refined, so it's more capable for everyday use. So
this would be sort of, not that there's a standard model, but this would be.
Well, we've got in the range the GT, the GT product, and then we've got our supercars, so Artura and 720, and then obviously our Ultimate Series products, such as the P1 and Speedtail above it.
Okay. And the main reason for having all this is mostly because of regulations and emissions and whatnot.
Well, I mean, partly that, but we think it really adds to the driving experience, because not only do you obviously have that flexibility in the different modes, which increasingly we touched on, people want and need to be able to drive the car electrically and emissions free, but actually the hybrid system, as we saw with the P1, really helps with a throttle response. I mean, you've got fantastic throttle response with this car, delivering this combined torque from the electric motor and the combustion motor, which makes it a more enjoyable car, easier to connect with, and to really give you confidence to drive and push the car.
And twin turbochargers.
Correct, yeah.
So what the electric motor does more or less is fool the turbochargers. There's no lag.
Exactly.
It spins the engine, which gives you immediate. Because normally you put your turbo.
Exactly. You get the torque from the e-motor almost instantaneously, and then that gives the time for the combustion engine to really deliver its peak torque.
Right. Eliminate the turbo.
You're getting about 90% of the peak torque in about 0.2 to 0.3 of a second.
Is there a convertible one as well, or is that coming?
Well, we don't like to talk about what might be coming in the future, but
it's not out of the question. I
yeah.
see. This is classic English understatement. Yeah. Well, no, I'm a coupe guy myself.
Yeah.
I just like the rigidity of it. Very nice. Okay. What else do we got? Any other features I should know? Let's see.
Yeah, so one of the advancements with the Artura is the use of manufacturing process for the aluminium panel. So it's a carbon tub, but majority of the exterior panels are aluminium. We use a process called superforming, which instead of sort of conventional pressing, it uses hot air and gas to form the structure. You get much more complex shapes, and a great example is this rear clamshell. So I mean, just look how large it is. It comes from the back of the doors all the way around to the side. It's one piece.
This is all one piece.
It's all one piece, and the benefit of this, fewer panels on the car, which is great for weight saving, great for aerodynamic performance. And again, look at the form in the doors. You get this incredible, if I just come around, it's incredible form in the doors here.
I see that, yeah.
And it's a really crisp one, but you can't get that with a conventional pressed panel.
And what do we have here? This is...
So obviously this is the engine cover, which we can take off so you can have a look at it.
Right.
And the turbos sit within the V, so it's a hot V layout, which is great for throttle response and packaging, but there's a lot of heat. And so one of the things that we feature here is we've got this outlet here, which is not from the engine. This is just to vent the hot air from the turbos. So as the car's running, we pick up air underneath, up past the turbos and out there. And when the car's sort of stationary at the stoplights, you can see the hot air sort of.
Now, in the old days with turbos, when you run them hard, they would always say, don't shut the engine off right away, let it spin a little bit just to cool it down. Is that a good practice or something like this?
I think they're so advanced now.
Yeah, I know. It's so. Yeah.
Exactly.
And what are those? 19s or 20? What size wheels are those?
So 19 and 20.
Yeah, I don't get the 21 thing. I just blow tires all the time.
Yeah.
I've got a Tesla Plaid, which is ridiculously fast, but twice, bang! I just keep blowing tires, and it always splits in the sidewall. Then they give you that can of shaving cream to stick in the side that doesn't do anything, So very nicely done. Let's see. What other? Let's open it up. Take a look at the inside.
One of the things that we really wanted to focus on with the Artura was having a really super clean design to the cabin. There's a lot of technology in the car. There's lots of different modes. We wanted it to be, able to give the driver to be to focus on the driving experience, not be sort of, bombarded with so many different screens and switches and controls.
I like the lack of buttons on the steering wheel. I'm a little tired of it,
Yeah, it's a sort of philosophy from McLaren to keep the steering wheel for its main job, which is obviously controlling and steering the car.
Yeah, very nice.
You'll be familiar from the P1. Obviously, one of the things that we do at McLaren, we give independent control of both the handling and the powertrain. We don't sort of prescribe that, in this mode you've got to have this gear shift with this damping.
I usually put mine on sport handling and track power.
Yeah,
and that seems to work pretty well.
So we've kept this with the Artura. We've got now 4 modes for the powertrain because we've got this E mode, but we've moved the switches up. So on the P1 they were in the centre of the car. We've moved them up here, so they're ahead of the steering wheel here.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The idea is that you don't have to take your hands off the wheel. You can just reach out and flick the modes. So it's similar to the system that you tried maybe on the Elva. And the advantage is you can just keep your eye on the road and hands on the wheel.
And how many speed transmission?
It's an 8-speed transmission.
An 8-speed, okay.
Interestingly, so it's 8 forward speeds and there's no reverse.
Right.
We just spin the electric motor in reverse to power, which means that we can package 8 forward speeds in the space you'd normally have for a 7-speed transmission.
Right.
And obviously we always make sure there's battery capacity to make sure that you can reverse.
Right. So this has 2 batteries, has a 12-volt.
Correct.
And okay, yeah.
And it's a plug-in hybrid. Obviously, you just plug it in when you've got the car at home, and we use the high voltage battery to top up the 12-volt battery. So. So this like the P1 that comes with the charger. It comes with the charger, yeah, but it's not. The P1 has an off-board charger.
Right.
So that's a big unit.
Right.
This has the charging equipment on the car,
that's
and you
wonderful.
have a more conventional.
So you just plug it in.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I wish that. That's the one thing. I've been to a number of chargers with mine, and they all swap them out under warranty, and it's fine. But yeah, it's nice when it's on board. It just makes it a little easier. Very cool. Very cool. Well, very nice. I think. Can we take it for a ride?
We certainly can.
Let's give it a shot. Ooh, nice new struts in the door.
So there we go. So the car's on. So if you just
Yeah, steering is amazing and very nice. Certainly quieter than the P1.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's just the lane departure warning, which you can turn off.
Right.
There's a little button on the outboard side there. It's probably the second one in from the outside.
So if I do this, I get the chipmunks.
It's like Space Invaders.
Yeah. Hilarious.
But it's just departure warning. It's not assist, so it's not adjusting the steering fluid.
And this takes me through all the various.
So yeah, that's just the volume control, and then you just press it in to take you back. And it's got Apple CarPlay and.
It's so funny. My P1 is so old; it doesn't even have a rear camera. Did any P1s have rear cameras? Did it become mandatory past a certain point? I don't think they did. No.
Because it was only produced for a year and a half or something.
Yeah, they only made 375.
That's right. Yeah. So as I was saying, so the idea is that you can just reach out, change the modes.
Gotcha.
There's no, on the P1 you've got that active button to press first. You don't have to do any of that.
Are people taking delivery now for these, or?
Yeah, the deliveries just started. Just started, yeah.
So this is 720 is still in the mix.
720 is still in the range, yeah. And I think people like to have the 2 different types of car. You can take your choice between the non-hybrid 4-litre V8 or the hybridized 3-litre V6. It's an incredibly compact.
4-valve, obviously.
Yeah. There's a 120-degree bank angle.
Oh, this one, wow, okay. Yeah.
And it's that wide so that, we can get the central gravity low, but it also allows us to have a very short crankshaft.
Well, that's why I like, to me, if you're going to build a supercar, build your own engine. I don't quite get people pay a fortune for a supercar that has somebody else's motor in it. Yeah. I mean, it's nice to see, since back in 1915, there were 350 car companies in America, and we lost about 10% every year, or 2% every year. And all of a sudden, the last decade or so, you've had McLaren, you've got Tesla, you've got Lucid, you've got a bunch of. It's way more comfortable than the P1.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, to have, as we said, it's not exactly the same level of performance, but it's still knocking on 700 horsepower.
Oh yeah.
In a car that weighs 3,000 pounds dry,
I mean, it's so funny.
3,300 pounds.
People talk about the golden age. This is the golden age of horsepower. I mean, these kind of numbers have never been available. It's just unbelievable. I mean, when the Bugatti Veyron shot for 1,000, people, no, it's 1,000. You're out of your mind. It's never going to happen, you know. And then now it's almost become, you know, commonplace.
But it's usable performance as well.
Right.
You know,
and feels very well put together. There's no, you know, you're not getting dancing dashboards and things. Yeah, I mean, to me, the thing that's really sold McLaren is also the service and the follow-up, you know. They really do take care of the customer. That's what I like. Any problem I have with mine, it's fixed for exactly what I don't wind up with that, well, you know, we had this and we found this. You know, I just have so many supercar friends of mine pull their hair out, you know. I mean, my P1 has really just been general maintenance and not crazy, not crazy like some supercars. I mean, it's expensive, obviously, but not outrageous.
and the Artura comes with 5-year warranty and a 3-year service.
Oh, there you get 3 years service? Okay. And where does Artura come? What is it? Is it named after somebody?
So it's no, it's a coined word, a made-up word. It's art and future. If you're in the UK and you've got time, you should come to the composites facility in Sheffield.
Yeah, I would love to see that. Yeah.
Because it's a super impressive process, and we're on this industrial park in Sheffield, which I mean, Sheffield was a city that was coal industry, steel industry, and obviously those industries have declined. But there's a lot of new technology companies based there now, including McLaren.
I was very impressed with Woking when I went there. It just looked like the factory of the future, and the way it's laid out. And
yeah, it's a great place to work. It's very inspirational because it's very modern, even though it's 20 years old now.
I guess it is now, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, it's all just so seamless. That's what's nice. It's not a lot of noise, and I don't feel like I'm going any faster. You know. So many people build cars with an American V8 in it, and it's just loud.
And it's got great throttle response because you've got that electric motor chiming in.
Oh yeah, brakes are great. It's very much like the P1.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we wanted. We wanted to take the best bits of the P1 and put it into a series production car.
And the fact that almost a decade later it's a fifth of the price, that's pretty good. I have to admit, I thought when this came out it would be 3-something.
Yeah.
The fact that they've kept the price, can you call that reasonable? Certainly for a supercar, I think you can. I mean, it's a crazy amount of money, obviously, but I think you get your money's worth with it. I enjoy that P1 so much.
It's a special car. I mean, 10 years after we first showed it, it still looks incredible.
Yeah. And the 12C I love.
Yeah, it's a special occasion, even for us who work at McLaren to drive the P1. I mean, we have, I think, 2 now, and we have to come up with benchmarking reasons to get them out of the locker. Now this seems extremely comfortable, but there's a comfort mode, is that correct?
Yeah, so there's comfort on both the handling and the powertrain. So if you knock it down to comfort,
Touch here?
that's it, yeah.
Okay.
So now we're running in comfort. We've still got all the performance of both the combustion motor and the electric motor, but once you dip below 15 miles an hour, maybe at this, when we stop at this stoplight, the combustion motor will turn off.
Oh, and it goes to electric.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there you go. You've got the electric motor's just powering the car. Now, obviously, if you do a big throttle input,
it'll go back, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So, but otherwise, as long as you're not commanding too much performance from the car, it'll keep in electric until about 40 miles an hour. Then the combustion motor will come back in. But there's nothing you need to do. It sort of should be
very nice.
All sort of intuitive.
So I got 10 miles of range electric, 300 miles of range gas.
Correct. That's right. And then this little white arrow shows you the state of charge target for that mode.
Okay. And it will, when I'm not in comfort, will that regen off the?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So when you're lifting off on the overrun, it'll. Exactly. Yeah. So just chimed in there. So when you're on the overrun, we'll run some drag torque on the electric motor, and that will recharge the battery. And you can also, even if you're accelerating but not using 100% of the engine's performance, we can also take some of that spare capacity, top the battery. And if you're running into downtown LA and you want to top the battery up because you want to run electrically when you're there, you can tell the car, top the battery up, and you can do that in any other modes.
And how long does it take drive? How many miles to get that to regen all the way back?
Depending on how fast you're going, but if you're like, typical would be if you're on the highway doing about 70 miles an hour, would take 40 minutes, 30, 40 minutes.
30, 40 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. And you plug it in. If you plug it in, it takes 2.5 hours.
Okay. Now when I switch it, I noticed the range went to 325 in the comfort mode.
Yeah, I think that's just because that calculation is based on your average over your last 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and obviously the car's been idling in the garage. And on the handling side, we've got comfort, sport, and track. We've got adaptive damping.
I don't see track on this.
So it's like a sort of carousel. It rotates through. So if you go now to sport on the powertrain, so if you go to the top, press the.
No, I'm electric. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, let's go to sport. Okay.
Yes, you go up to.
Okay, there's comfort.
And then one more.
Sport.
Right, so now you're in sport, and now you can see track above it. So
I got you, yeah.
So track's showing you what are the modes above and below where you're currently.
Right. Does the car lower in track or?
No, so this one is for the powertrain, and then on the left-hand side you've got the same rocker, and that's for the handling modes.
I see. Okay.
And again, you've got comfort, sport, and track on the handling, and that changes the damping, gives you more body control, but it doesn't lower the car.
So you want to plug this every night when you leave it, right?
Yeah, it's not sort of compulsory, but I mean, I guess the use case is that most customers are going to have a garage where they keep the car plugged in. But one of the advantages of having the high voltage battery and the 12-volt battery is that as long as your high voltage battery's got a decent charge in it, like we've got now, you can use it to top up the 12-volt battery. So say you park it at the airport for a couple of weeks, it can always be topping up the 12-volt battery.
You wouldn't leave McLaren at the airport for a couple of weeks. I mean, that's like giving your car to a valet. Get it, please. Most people I find have this or a 918 or they've been through a few of the lithium-ion batteries because they don't leave it plugged in.
Yeah.
All the battery wants to be is 74 degrees. That's all it asks. If you leave it plugged in all the time, it just remains constant.
Exactly, yeah.
I know so many people, I know a couple of buddies of mine have 918s, and they park them, then they go to the Bahamas or something, and come back, and the car's dead, and then the battery is just, they've drained it, and it just sat.
Exactly, yeah.
And they can't get it to recover. It's so funny because the amount of maintenance in modern supercars is nothing compared to what it used to. I mean, with older cars, oh my God, it would just be just crazy. And all they're requiring you to do is could you just plug it in once in a while? It's just too much trouble.
Yeah, I noticed that you plugged the P1 in as soon as you popped it back into its space.
It's never unplugged.
Yeah, because the systems really look after the battery.
Mine's still on the original battery.
Yeah. Have you noticed any loss in the electric range at all?
In the P1? No, it's always been 5-6 miles. That's all you get. Once I saw 7, but that disappeared pretty quick. The 7 was just there as a complimentary gesture. Is a 7 point. Yeah, I mean, this is just an everyday supercar, isn't it? You can have it.
Yeah, you can do big distances in this. You can.
Yeah, you're not screaming to have a conversation. What'd you say? You get that. Yeah, I mean, it just feels great. It just handles so nicely.
And the tub itself is lighter, stronger, and stiffer than the tubs we've done previously.
I remember when the F1 tub back in the day took 2,000 hours to make.
Yeah.
And now you're down to like 45 minutes or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The process takes, it's like 500 individual bits of carbon.
Yeah.
And then we do 72 sub-assemblies, and then that creates 11 preforms, and then they go into the press, and then it's a resin transfer molding process.
But this will be the halo car for a while, one of the sort of bread and butter car, the car that probably would sell the most of, don't you think? Or is that the 720 right now?
I mean, it's always, you know, because of different life cycles and introduction points, but this is, you know, we think it's going to be a major part of the range for the next couple of years. We're really excited to bring it to market.
Well, I love that the charging system is on board.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the only thing about the P1, you're sort of carrying that suitcase with you, if you know.
Yeah.
But since mine always comes back to the same place every night anyway, it's not a big deal. But it's a 5-year warranty and what, 3 years of free service?
That's right, yeah.
Well, Jamie, thanks for bringing this. I've been real curious about this car because I knew it had a lot of the P1 in it. Actually, more than I thought. Very sophisticated. It's a brand new motor. I love it that McLaren builds their own motors. You know, I mean, that's really what makes a car company to me. It's the heart and soul of it, you know. And the fact that it's a brand new engine, just having more new engines out there on the market, I think is really exciting. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. Really great.
Well, it's a pleasure. Thanks very much for your time, Jay.
Yeah. I'm, as I said, my mother's from Scotland, so I have a bit of a. I'm always pulling for the British side. Hey, we'll see you guys next week. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.